How many of you like going to weddings and wish you could be invited to more? How many of you are wedding crashers and as soon as you hear one, you show up just so you can get the free food? I actually do remember the first wedding that I went to. It was my grandparents. My mother's father married my father's mother. Try to say that one 3 times fast. I don't think the reception was anything noteworthy because I think we just all went back to my house. And it was just my cousins and my aunts and uncles. I can certainly remember the first wedding I went to that was not a relative. It was somebody I knew from the state park where we used to camp. She got married in Queens. I actually got to drive to Queens. I don't know why my parents let me do that. But I remember that one a little bit. And from there, it's been a few family members, some friends, and of course, as clergy, I get to go to all kinds of weddings, whether I want to or not. But if you were to poll most priests, they will tell you weddings are pretty far down on the totem pole of things they want to do. We have to do them because it's in the prayer book. And this part of the wedding is what we like to do. We'll go to the reception, and I'll tell you what, if the wine ran out at the reception, I wouldn't care. If bacon-wrapped scallops run out, I'm going to have a problem. I'm going to want Jesus to do something about that. But we do know that, of course, today we hear the miracle of the wedding of Cana in Galilee. And you only get to hear this gospel this Sunday every 3 years. Now, there's less things we could glean from that. We could say, well, Jesus likes weddings. As a matter of fact, the prayer book, which should tell you what Episcopalians believe, read the prayer book, we say that Jesus adorned this manner of life by his presence and first miracle at a wedding in Cana in Galilee. I don't know that Jesus knew that that's what he was doing, but we believe that his presence there says something about marriage. And I would say that the presence of Christ or faith in any aspect of relationship proves that Christ matters to him. I also know this, that if you were to look at what Jesus thought he was doing, it had nothing to do with saying this is the way marriage should be. It had everything to do with saying, by the way, I am God. I may not really want to deal with your problem of not planning well for your reception. However, I can do something about it. And I will in a way that you won't even notice at first. Another thing that we have to remember about weddings in ancient times are A, they are not a 5-hour reception with loud music and 2-hour open bar. It's a 3-day event. So there more than likely are going to run out of wine. But this is a huge faux pas, a big problem, a major embarrassment to the people hosting it because the whole town is there. So that's why Jesus is there. It's in his town. He happens to be present. But to that, I said to myself, well, if it's not about really a statement on marriage, it certainly shouldn't be that Jesus wants everybody drunker than skunks. But what does have this to say? That there is a miraculous part of the presence of Christ in our day-to-day lives that sometimes is interesting. And I began to ask, well, where's the good news in all of this for me? Because I don't really like wine that much. And I'm not worried about marriage. Marriage is fun. But it's not, here is it. How many of you have from time to time felt like an empty jar? Like you have lost your purpose, your reason to be. You're still physically there, but something is missing and nobody's really paying attention to that. But all of a sudden, you get filled back up with what you're supposed to have in you, water. All right, so things are coming a little bit back to normal. But yet, the one thing missing is the aspect of grace and Christ's presence. And that is what changes the water into wine. He didn't put them in wine bottles, he put them into something different. Grace changes us. Grace makes something new. Takes our ordinary selves, doing what we normally would go about doing, but can change it. So if we're not the empty jars, but we know some empty jars, are we not called also to fill them up as well? To look for ways of saying, let me help you get back to where you know you could have been. But let me give you one other thing. This relationship with Christ is what can change it. It can bring that grace that you need, not only to reestablish who you are, but perhaps change who you are. To to be something different, something so amazing. Think about what the steward said, that you brought out the good stuff. This is not bartending 101. You bringing out amazing wine when nobody should have lost, by this point, they've lost their taste buds. Why is that? It is because when new things happen for us in grace-filled ways, it is so much better than what we once were. Can you find that in yourselves? Can you offer that to other people? That's the challenge of faith, to find ways of putting new wine into old containers, to looking for ways of blessing in not so obvious ways, but the end result is what is seen. That's what today's gospel says to me. We'll celebrate weddings continuously here. Anybody want to get married? That's fine. And I'll go to a reception if you invite me, but please have the bacon-wrapped scallops. Other than that, life is meant to be enjoyed. Christ's presence and weddings means that Christ is in our day-to-day activities, not just those special occurrences when he needs them. The invitation, he's always ready to accept. Are we willing to let him in?